Hey guys, Harrison, I'm back at it once again with a brand new video for you, and welcome to episode 9 of our MotoGP Career Mode Let's Play. We're coming towards the end of Season 1, episode 10 will be the season finale. We have just 3 rounds to go in the final test. Let's go to Phillip Island, over in Australia. My favourite Grand Prix on the calendar, actually. I love Phillip Island, even if the timing's a little bit weird. Besides that, it's a really enjoyable race, actually. But that's not what I'm talking about this episode. This episode, I'm going to call it the Rumour Mill. Now, I'm recording this on July 18th, so what I say might even be out of date by the time this video goes live. But there's been a lot of tasty rumours about the future of the paddock in all 3 categories that are worth talking about soon. Before we start the Phillip Island race. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. There's a lot of interesting rumours. The first one, which we know, is a definite fact. Tito Rabat is staying with the Mark VDS team through 2015, which was a big surprise to a lot of people. Everybody thought Rabat was going to win the title and then immediately move up. Turns out that's not the case. It looks as if he will be staying on, and he wants to be the first rider to win the world title and then defend it. Which my response was, Rabat, you haven't even won 1 yet, let alone thinking about going for 2. It's it's a little bit to me, like why are you already thinking about next year when you haven't even won this year's world title yet? And apparently he was getting offers from MotoGP teams, which makes him even more confusing as to why he would, you know, turn them all down to stay with VDS for another year. It kind of makes me question his ambition a little bit, that he wants to, you know, possibly, you know, stick around in Moto 2. Does he risk being exposed? I mean, I've always mentioned this with Rabat, how the problem with Rabat has always been that we know that there are guys in that tier who are a little bit better than him. Which, as a result, means he could have some problems. You know, like Paul Espargaro and Scott Redding, we know, beat him when they were both in Moto 2 themselves. And, you know, one of them was a world champion, and Redding was very, very close to being a world champion himself. So, it's a difficult one, because, you know that he's at a disadvantage if he goes up to the top class straight away. And, as I mentioned before, the rookie class is looking very tasty at the moment. Maverick Vinales has looked very, very good. Salom's been pretty good. Volga's been pretty good. So, you know, those guys have all impressed a lot of people. So right now, Rabat isn't the most attractive prospect to bring into a team at the moment. Maybe that's part of the reason why he's decided to stick around for next year and see what happens. The next one is Jack Miller. Now, a lot of talk about Jack Miller possibly going to Mark VDS. You know, both camps are saying different things. Miller's saying nothing's been signed yet. Mark VDS is very confident that he actually already has been signed. Also, I want to mention, though, I had to correct myself. Brad Binder was the guy that was second in Germany in the Sachsenring. Brad Binder became the first South African rider on the podium for nearly 30 years. So congratulations to Brad. Great ride from him. Anyway, as I was saying, like, that's an interesting one, because, you know, there's even talk now about Miller possibly skipping a class, going straight up to MotoGP, skipping that tier, and joining LCR, because LCR are not confident on Stefan Bradl anymore. Bradl has made it clear he wants to stay. The issue with that is that Honda and LCR aren't particularly keen on Bradl because he hasn't really improved from last year, which I think is kind of... It's a little bit true. I mean, I think his pace has always been good. I just haven't thought it was ever great. Which is a bit of an issue. And why am I getting outsped by these guys? Jesus. That's not a good sign. I really need to just stick with a team next year and not change around so much. But yeah, like I said, that's an interesting one, because Bradl, like I said, is one that's talked about a lot. His seat is under a lot of pressure, and it's seeming like Honda isn't keen really to give him another extension. Bradl's opened up the idea, saying, well, I could go back down to Moto2 if I wanted to and try and win another Moto2 championship. And, you know, saying it worked for Mika Kallio. Well, Kallio had a shot at the top and it didn't work out for him. And, you know, Kallio had much less success than Bradl has right now. And why can I not make any time on these dudes? I really think it's the bike at this point. But yeah, like I said, it's difficult for Bradl right now. Apparently there are a lot of teams that are willing to take him on if he does leave. I know Pramac have openly said they're interested. And I know that NGM apparently are looking at him as a replacement for Colin Edwards, who is retiring at the end of the season. So that's that discussion. Then there's discussion about the other Moto2 rookie class. Maverick Vinales has had a lot of talk about him, possibly going to Suzuki next season. Which again would be pretty neat, because I think he's definitely worthy of that kind of seat. Vinales is a very exciting prospect, because just what MotoGP needs, just what MotoGP needs is another really fast Spanish dude. But yeah, like I said, that's one to keep an eye on as well. Suzuki, you know, they're not sure yet whether they're going to go with 2 experienced riders or 1 experienced guy and 1 young guy. They're not sure yet. They've made it quite clear they want Dovizioso, Alicia Spargaro, and possibly Andrea Iannone. They've all made inquiries about them. Apparently, obviously, they're not all going to be available. There's even talk about Dovi getting a contract extension at Ducati very soon. So, you know, he might be sticking around there a little bit too. But Suzuki are looking for riders, and, you know, the favourite was Dominique Agata, but it looks like their team boss has said, you know, no, we were talking about Vinales as a possible guy to come in. The issue with Vinales, though, is that his contract is 2 years long, not 1 year. According to rumours, Cito Ponza said he'll let Vinales go if a team can pay him out of the rest of his contract. Because, you know, apparently if Pons knows he's losing him, there's talk that Rins or Alex Marquez from Moto3 would fill in as a replacement instead. So again, there's a lot of talk about all this. Oh, come on, draft it. Come on. God, I'm struggling at the moment. Lord, that's 11th. Not good. It must be the bike development. I'm still playing catch up to the rest of the field. They've probably all got their bikes maxed out now, and mine's nowhere close. God, must do better. You got Malaysia next, and that's one of my better ones, so that hopefully will work out better. Speaking of teams making a return, oh, hello. The possibility of looking for a new team. Moto2, the Iota project is interested. Tech 3 is interested. AGR, that's the team that Jonas Volga currently rides for. Grassini, who are actually pretty good. Their factory team's interested as well. Tesca, they're pretty good. The Suter boys. Petronas, Calex, that's not particularly good. QMMF, that's no. Caterham, no. SAG, APH, AGT. The top boys aren't interested yet, and I would love to have a Pond seat because I love their bikes and I love their bike liveries as well. So the top teams are not really sniffing at the moment. Not even Speed Up. Like, I'm better than Sam Lowe's, come on. Who's the best on the board here? Looks like the Tasca team are for Suter. All right, we'll go with the Federal or Grassini Moto2 team when it comes down to it. Maybe something better will come along at the end. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, 4th place for Pedrosa. Oh boy. Marquez wins again. Lol. rumours now, apparently I'm going to Iota, which that should be fun. Okay. Penultimate round, Sepang. So speaking about teams making a comeback, I mentioned this a minute ago. Suzuki obviously aren't the only ones coming back. Aprilia are coming back as well with an ART team. And apparently they're rebuilding the bike completely for 2016, completely from scratch, and they've had calls with Bautista. Now, Bautista is a guy who's under a lot of pressure, because with Bautista at the moment, he's not had a very good time at that Honda team. He's had 3 drops, all at the early part of the season. He's got the 1 podium to his name, but besides that, his season's been pretty disappointing for a guy of his ability. Especially given that last year, he was challenging for podiums consistently and keeping up with the factory boys. This year, not so much. So, you know, Aprilia might come knocking. It's just good there's going to be more bikes on the grid next year in general. So that maybe more talent will be able to go around. I mean, there's even talk about Tech 3, because Tech 3, there's pressure on Bradley Smith. Tech 3's team boss, the Ponchinator, Hervé Poncharal, has already said that, you know, Bradley has not lived up to expectations in his second season. You know, Pol Espargaro has blitzed him. Now, I think comparing him to Pol Espargaro, I think, is completely unfair, because they gave Pol a factory contract, they were already very high on him, and he was Moto2 World Champion. On paper, Pol was always going to be better than Bradley Smith. Ooh, wet race. Okay. So like I said, to me, I always thought that was a bit of a harsh thing to really do, because I always felt that Bradley was always going to be in a tough fight, or in a tough situation, because, well, think about it. He's already in a really... He's already, you know, meant to be not as good as Pol Espargaro, who, you know, is going to be a guy that could be a contender for a top-end seat in a couple of years' time. We'll bring that down 1 notch, I think. But yeah, just overall, there's just so many rumours swirling around. Even one about Jonas Volger potentially coming in to replace Bradley Smith. Jonas is very high on Hervé Poncharal's watch list, so I've been told. I think that's going to be a problem, though, because Jonas is sponsored by Red Bull, going back to his Red Bull Rookies run in 2008. So, you can obviously tell that, you know, a Red Bull-sponsored guy, while at the same time... going to a team sponsored by Monster, there's an obvious conflict of interest going on there. It's a bit like putting Sebastian Loeb alongside Ken Block. You know, it doesn't quite work. We had a great start this time, we're up to 13th place already. Hopefully the new chassis will help us out a little bit. The bike feels quicker. Which is great. I forgot about the brakes in all fairness, but still. The computer are pretty chicken when it comes to braking anyway, so. It's looking like we could fight the big boys in this race. Like I said, there are so many rumours right now, and apparently there's the summer break is where all these contracts get ironed out anyway, so. If you're in a summer break from MotoGP right now, we'll not be back for 3 weeks until the Indianapolis Grand Prix on August the 2nd. So in that time, expect a lot more rumours, a lot more news. If anything comes up, I'll mention it in the future. Probably on Dre TV or something like that. Or maybe in separate videos as well, maybe even if I feel like it. Going around the outside of Benagia, my teammate. This is actually a pretty good MotoGP track as it goes. I think it's just a little bit too long though. It's going to be well over 2 minutes a lap round here. We've got to go down the inside. I think that's Rins. Then that's Jacob Cornfile. Give me a bump, Cornfile. That's it. Bit of extra speed. Oh, Lord. My engine's still lacking, clearly. Right, now. Hello, Fanati. Haven't seen you in a while. Bump. Got a good run out of the corner as well. Now go slipstream off Marquez here and see if we can catch him up. Marquez is looking for a freeway. With Rins as well, they're all braking hard for that turn 1. Oh, 4 wide here through the first 2 corners. There we go, we're into the lead. Just bumping through Alex Marquez. That'd be pretty nice. I mean, I do feel bad for guys like Bautista, Bradle and Smith whose seats are under pressure at the moment. I mean, think about it. Right now, we're in the most loaded midfield in MotoGP history. In my opinion, I think the midfield is as talented as it's ever been. I mentioned it before with Iannone, the Espargaro brothers, Stefan Bradle, Cal Crutchlow, Andrea Dovizioso. They're all really good guys, all really talented riders that would, half of them would be more than adequate on factory bikes. But, you know, there's not enough bikes to go around for everybody, and right now the young talent is looking ridiculously good as well. Don't even forget about guys like Scott Redding, who apparently is in talks to possibly be Rossini's leading man next year. Like, apparently, if Rossini want to go in a new direction, they'll sack Bautista and they'll just push Scott Redding up a slot. And don't even get me started on Dominique Agata. There's a lot of talk around him. It's like, because Rabat's now staying, it's kind of changed the field around entirely now. So who knows what will happen. It's just you know, watch sites like GPExtra.com and obviously all those MotoGP sites for news and whatnot, because I think there'll be a lot of it in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Trying to clear this pack here, we're looking quite good now. So why is the bike suddenly this much better now? In the last episode, that was terrible. Was it the chassis upgrade? May have been. I'm not complaining or anything. I'll take it. 2:21 for that last lap. Yeah, if only, you know, we've only won 1 Grand Prix this season as it goes. I mean, jeez. And you know, obviously we had the Aston Phantom win moment, which wasn't a very happy moment in my history. Like, all you guys couldn't believe it. So it's nice just to have a clear win for once. I need it for 4th in the championship as well, or possibly even 3rd. But yeah, the bike feels much faster now. So yeah, sorry I'm not talking much. I've kind of run out of things to say now. Luckily, the episode's nearly over, so that can't be a bad thing, right? Okay, coming back towards the Formula 1 chicane section. All this rain reminds me of the Formula 1 race in 2001 here when Schumacher and Barrichello ploughed their way up the field. That was amazing. It was like Miller and Marquez are scrapping over 2nd as well. It's a shame we never had a full season with Rins and Marquez in there. We've had a great effect to see the championship standings afterwards, rather than just, you know, Finati and Miller battling it out all the time. I love what the Sky team are doing, though, in general. You know, giving Italian riders more of a chance. This team's going to be a spotlight for those guys. Like Finati, who, you know, has been given a big opportunity and now all of a sudden is a top-tier Moto3 rider. Banaggio is a good talent. I mean, Baldassarre apparently is looked after by Valentino Rossi in Moto2, and he had a great performance at the Sachsenring last weekend. So, you know, it's looking like the future of Italian motorsport's in good hands, and I'm glad that guys like Rossi are giving back. Through the last corner, though, we are going to take the win here in Malaysia. We needed that one. My God. Nice to be back on the top step. Won up by 4.4 seconds from Jack Miller. just beating Alex Marquez. Alex Rins 4th and Romano Fenati in 5th. Miller back in the lead in the championship by 5 points over Fenati. That's going to go absolutely to the wire. I'm only 5 points behind Jakob Kornfeil now, which is also good to see. And you can see, look, they've only been around for half the season, but Rins has 172 points already. Crazy. Hooray, we won something! The dizzying heights of level 14. And we got 10,000 more fans. Good, we need that number for offers. I don't think it'll be enough for the top guys, but that could come in time. Yeah! Win!
He dictated the rhythm of the race. No one could keep up with this seriously impressive pace.
I didn't even realise they got the official commentators from MotoGP's World Feed to do the voiceovers for the game as well. That's actually quite a nice touch. Alrighty then, and without further ado, that'll wrap it up for this episode. Check back next time as Marc Marquez celebrates his World Championship for the 2nd time. And yeah, the season finale in Valencia, and where will I end up in Moto 2? Check that out next time. Until then, I've been Harrison101. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Oh yeah.